Now that we know how to build tables and basic queries, we're going to get into something fun. We're going to learn how to build a customer form. Now again, a form is an object for working with your data on the screen in a nice, pretty, user-friendly interface. Now, however friendly or however pretty your form is really more a matter of art than science. This takes practice. You can easily spend many, many hours trying to make your forms look good. In today's class, we're just going to concentrate on building a functional customer form, and in future classes, we'll go into a lot more detail on how to add more control to your forms. So here we are again at our database window. Let's click on Forms, and we'll click on New up top. And there are a whole bunch of different ways to make forms. There's a form wizard, there's auto forms, there's a chart wizard, and some of these are really cool. Others, like the form wizard, I don't particularly care for. For today, again, we're going to build our form from scratch, starting with the design view. Now, before we actually build our form, we have to tell the form where to get its data from. A form can get its data from either a table or a query. And if I drop down this little box down here, notice I can see my customers from New York Q and my customer T. For today, let's pick our customer T. Let's base this form on the customer table and all of the records and all of the fields in that table. Let's go ahead now and click on OK. Now, you should get a blank form popping up here, Form 1. This is the blank form in the background, this big gray area. You should also see a little floating toolbar. This is called a toolbox. And you should also see this little box here with all the field names in it. Now, in our future classes, we're going to use this toolbox an awful lot. But for today, let's just go ahead and close it. If you don't see it, don't panic. We don't need it for today. Let's take our field list and move it over to the side here so we have some room to work with. Now, if you don't see the field list, don't panic. Look up on your toolbar. Here's the field list right there. If your field list isn't on, just click on the field list button and it should pop up. The field list is right here next to the toolbox button, which looks like a little hammer and a wrench. There it is. The field list is essentially a list of all the fields in the table or query that this form is based on. And just like we had to take fields from our table and put them into a query, we'll do the same thing here with a form. We'll take the fields out of the field list and put them on the form where we want them. The benefit of using a form is that you can lay the fields out any way you want them. So let's start off with the customer ID. I'm going to come over here, click on the customer ID, hold it down, and drag it right about here, and let it go. Now notice I got two things. Both of them say customer ID. I got this guy over here, that's called a label, and I got his big brother right here, that's called a text box. What's going to happen is the label will stay like this. It will actually say customer ID on the form. The text box will have the data from the field in it. So this will actually have the number 1 in it representing the customer ID. If you want to see the form in action, click on this little button right here on the toolbar. That's the view button. It takes you to form view. And there we go. You can see it says customer ID and there's a 1. This is only one record. I'll show you how to get to the other records in just a minute. For now, let's go back to design view by clicking on the T-square. And there we go. Let's bring over another field. Let's grab first name, click and drag it. Now when you're dragging it over, you're tempted probably to go over here and let it go, but don't. Line it up over here underneath the text box portion. And there it is. first name. If you line it up exactly right, they should come in nice and straight. I'll show you how to move them around in a minute, though. If you're like me, you're not going to get it right your first time. This does take practice. Now, let's see what this looks like. Let's come over here and click on the Form View button again. And look at that. It says Customer ID 1, first name, Richard. Now, at the bottom of the window, you're going to see your little record navigation buttons right down here. These work just like a little CD player. This little button here goes to the next record. So if I click on that, it takes me to record 2. There's Joe. Record 3, Sue, and so on. This button takes me back to the previous record. This button takes you to the first record. There's me. This button takes you to the last record in the set, record 8. And this button will add a new record, and you can see it says auto number. Now keep in mind, the data that you're seeing here in the form is live data. If you were to add a new record in here, or come to one of these other records and make a change, you're changing the data in your table. This is not a copy of the data. This is the actual data in the table. We're just displaying it with a form. All right, let's go back to Design View and add some more fields. Here's last name. I'll drag it. And, I didn't quite get it perfectly lined up with the other ones. How do I fix that? Well, notice how last name is highlighted. See the little dots around it? Move your mouse over last name so that you see a hand. See the hand right there? Now, if you go too far over it, you're going to get that eye cursor. That's not right. And you don't want to be over one of those dots because then you get a double arrow. You want to kind of be over one of the borders, like right there. The edge of the box, but not on one of those dots. Once you've got the hand, you got to have the hand, you can click and drag and move those things around. See that? Click and drag. And then you can move them around and line them up. All right. Now, if you want to move one of these other guys, all you have to do is click on it and then get the hand and move them where you want them. Click on it and get the hand and move it where you want it. You can also just move it in one swoop. Watch this. I'm going to click over here in right field. There, I clicked, and that unhighlighted everything. And watch this. I can go click and drag in one swoop without having to actually click on it and then find the hand. If it's already highlighted like this one is, you got to have the hand. If it's not already highlighted like Customer ID here, you can just click and drag in one motion. Okay? Now again, this takes practice. I make it look easy because I've been doing it for 10 years. But a lot of my first-time access students have a lot of problems moving this stuff around. So this is just something you're going to have to practice. All right, let's grab company name, slide it up under here. There we go. Phone number, and so on. And practice bringing these guys out one at a time. Here's fax number, and there we go. Now, as a shortcut, yes, you can bring them all over at once. Let me show you how to do that. First, let's delete all of these guys. Now, to delete just one of them, all you have to do is click on it to select it and press delete on the keyboard. And that will get rid of one of the fields. If you want to get rid of all of them, just click and drag a box around them, like that. Let me show you that again. I started out here, just out in the middle of the form. Click and drag a box. That'll highlight all of them, and then hit delete on the keyboard. Now here's a trick to bring all of the fields into the form at once. Come over to the field list and double click right here on the title bar, this blue bar. That's blue on my screen, it might be a different color on yours. Double click right there, and that will highlight all of the fields. Now just click and drag any one of these fields over and drop them right about here. And there we go. There's all of them. I'm going to delete that real quick. I want to show you something. One mistake that people commonly make is that they bring fields over too close to the edge, like over here, and look at what happens. I just scrunched up all of my labels right up against the text boxes. So let me delete that again. So when you're doing that, make sure you give yourself enough room. I like to line it up right about here at the 1.5 inch mark, and that gives me plenty of room. Now, while they're still all highlighted like this, take your hand and you can drag them all up into the corner a little bit. And there we go. Now once you've got all the fields on your form, you can feel free to close the field list because we don't need it anymore. And if you scroll down, you'll see there's all my fields. Notice the notes field came in nice and big. That's because it's a memo field. All the rest of these are text fields or number fields. And active came in as a checkbox. That's because it's a yes or no field. Now, let's go ahead and save our form. I'll click on the Save button. I'm going to call this my Customer F for Form and hit OK. And there we go. There's our customer form. If you want to see it in form mode, you can click on this button here for Form View. And there we go. There's all our data. We can scroll through our records down here this way. And when you're all done, we can close our form right here. And now we're back to the database window. And there's our customer form.